Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Ah, there we go. I was wondering why I had become invisible, but I think I have found what the problem was, and here I am. So, here we go. Good evening, and hello, kits and cubs, and welcome to the True North Eager Beaver, or the Daily Beaver Morning Show, Nights. New Brunswick Elections Return Special. Ah, it's so nice to see you yet again. It seems that we just did this when we were doing BC. Anyway, I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And with me, well, actually, not see, I'm so used to saying with me. Not with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly, who is doing better and is preparing his ASMR show at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight, 10 o'clock Atlantic. So we're just we will do 2 hours tonight. If things still happen to be close, we'll come back on after Mr. Grizzly's ASMR to do a little touch up. But I didn't want to interfere with his schedule, especially since he's recovering from a bad back. He says he's feeling better, better enough to do a show. So I'm not going to step on his time slot. So there you go. And the sound is much better than this morning. That's good. I tried to clear up a few things and did a full reboot right before doing this show. So hopefully that solved the problem. There might have been too many demands on my computer this morning. There you go. Kitlandam, I've seen you more today than I've seen my husband. Oh man, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I have a little cough there today. Oh my. All right, kits and cubs. Well, I was going to ease on into this, but checking out the CBC feed, results are already coming in very quickly. So I was expecting it to take about half an hour before some results would come in, but that is not the case. So right now, you need 25 seats for a majority, and there are results in from 25 seats at the moment, with the PCs holding 13, leading, I should say, in 13, Liberals leading in 9, and the Greens in 1. So that's what's going on at the moment here. I am also going to make sure that I am um, logged in to the Elections New Brunswick website itself, so that when I want to see how certain specific electoral districts are doing, we can do that. As you notice, kits and cubs, I am alone this evening. Um, there might we might have a guest, Gail Costello, who was on the show uh, a couple of days ago, is going to a Susan Holt party, and said that she might try to check in via her phone that way. So there's a chance that we can have a little live conversation at some point. But from what I can tell, it is just me tonight. So I will need a little bit of your patience and indulgence as I go back and forth between screens to try to pick up information for you. And unfortunately, I do not have an absolutely fabulous additional commentator as Adam McGillivray was, if you watched our BC show. Resident of British Columbia, had been involved in a certain number of elections and even ran for municipal elections. So he was able to give us some good on the ground insight about the candidates and people who won, and if it was a defeat, and an incumbent or a cabinet minister, and that type of stuff, and who he'd seen in his experience, regardless of party, was a good person, a good constituency MP to be filling the seat. So that was added a lot of color and texture to the show, and added more information. Unfortunately, as you know, I don't live in New Brunswick, so I have limited ability to do that. But I will indeed try to do my best for you over the course of the evening. And right now, the reason I'm kind of stalling and stretching is that I'm trying to get on the results page for elections BC, and the link wasn't actually all that obvious to find, but I do have it now because I wanted to try and get some participation numbers here. And I don't see anything here yet. I don't see a full number of participation rate, although here I see, pardon me, I see 6.32% of eligible voters having voted so far based on where they are in the count. 568,944 number of electors in total were eligible to vote. And it says here that I'm not sure if that's 35,987 advanced ballots that have been sent out, because it just says ballots in there so far. All right. So the site is pretty bare bones, to be totally honest. I'll show it to you because the BC page was a little more complex, and you could. So literally, this is all I see from elections New Brunswick here, Kits and Cubs. So you have the list of the electoral districts here, the 49 of them, and then just up here, the overall, how many candidates and how many elected. And so it's going to be a little bit bare bones in that sense. All right. Sorry, I have to cough again. Pardon me. It's going to happen a lot tonight, so I beg your indulgence. Okie dokie. There we go. So, it's been an interesting election campaign. As you know, we've made a particular focus and priority of New Brunswick over the course of the year because, as we mentioned before, Canada constitutionally, the best way or the easiest way for constitutional change to come about is if 7 provinces with at least 50% of the population agree on something. And we were in a situation where we could potentially be facing a Prime Minister Pierre Poilievre, and with 7 provinces under the Conservative banner. Now, we'd have different types of conservatives because the CAC is a different type of conservative, and the conservatives on Prince Edward Island are true progressive conservatives. But it does create that situation where the door could be reopened. So Manitoba had flipped a while ago, and that was good. We would hope in Alberta would flip, but it did not. So we still currently have 7 provinces. Now, if BC remains in the hands of the NDP, and right now there's some automatic recounts in at least 2 of those electoral districts, and I'm not sure if some candidates will challenge in order to get a judicial recount of other ones. But right now we're going to be we're holding in limbo until about the 26th of October on that one to see how it is that will turn out. So this left New Brunswick, and of course there's elections in Saskatchewan. It looks like there might be some in Nova Scotia before the year's out as well. Looks like Tim Houston might be going early, according to certain kits who have got their ears to the ground there. But yeah, New Brunswick was the one that we had deemed to be the most flippable based on what's been going on in the polls and what's been going on the ground. There has been some displeasure with Premier Blaine Higgs for quite a while, so much so that he had a good number of members of his party walk out on him. So we've been focusing on that, and we've been having some guests throughout the year come on and speak to us about it. We had an interview with the leader of the Liberal Party, Susan Holt, in English and in French to kick off the year. I believe we interviewed her in English in January, and then in French about 6 weeks later. Then we had Sean Rouse come on our show and talk to us for a good while. And we had our moments with High Tide Hilda coming in, who sends her best, but she's recovering from a little bit of surgery, so she has not been able to be with us, but she does send her love. And as well, we've had Gail Costello, educator and member, maybe not, I'm not sure if, I don't want to say founding member, I believe she corrected me on that, but heavily involved for a good long time with Pride in Education in New Brunswick. And then we also had Don Darling, the former mayor of St. John. So all of these people had taken some time to share their perspectives about what was going on in the province and what the situation was and what type of resistance was being built up and how what they seemed to think that the election would be on the ground. So right now I'm seeing some results based on the votes that have been cast. It is indeed tight. The Liberals have 42.8% of the share of the vote at the moment, and the PCs have 42.2%. The Greens are coming in with 11.7% at this moment. It's still fairly early in the process, of course. And now there's a different seat count as more results are coming in. And right now they're showing 27 Liberal, PC 20, and Green 1 with 1 seat. So there are results for every electoral district except for 1 at this moment. And so far, based on this, the seat change from the last election is Liberals plus 11, PCs minus 8, Greens down 1, and the People's Alliance, of course, down 2. Now, some results at the moment coming in Miramichi Bay Niguac. We have Sam Johnston from the Liberals leading in that one with 147 votes. So, of course, it's very early yet. Miramichi East, 1 of 19 polls returning. Véronique Arsenault, 1 vote. Miramichi West, Mike Dawson of the Progressive Conservatives has 600 votes coming in after 5 out of 16. We have Pat Finnegan in Kent North leading Kevin Arsenault of the Greens, who occupies the seat at the moment by just 7 votes. Again, still fairly early. So that's coming in. Those are results coming in from the CBC at the moment. Now, the election has had several topics, but the one that seems to have caused the most controversy, of course, is everything having to do with Project 713. Sadly, we learned from Miss Costello when it was that she when she came on our show. It seems that the Conservatives really, really leaned into that during the campaign, which was sad because I was kind of hoping that it might have been a situation where everything that needed to be said had been said before, and it just sort of faded to the background a little bit, and that people might not be voting so much on that. But it does seem very clear on the ground that they leaned into it pretty hard. in order to run this campaign. So, and we're seeing, for example, Alberta is going ahead with it, and Premier Scott Moe mentioned soon after the Saskatchewan debate, which I didn't think was atrocious for him, even though I don't think he won it. But I don't know if he's got some internal polling numbers that have indicated that he did worse than even he thought or not, because it sure didn't take him long after the debate to come out and say that his number one priority, if he was reelected, was to move forward on the whole gender identity thing and a recognition of what children are asking to be called. Um, so it's all the more important that this flips. I mean, because John Rostad was also going down that path, and I'm sure, I'm pretty sure that though Pierre Poilievre has been trying hard to say, to avoid saying he will, he has hinted a couple of times at that case that he would be open to it, or at least would not stand in the way to any provinces who would want to do that. So I am hoping that right now the Liberals, well, not the Liberals, I should say, but that the results that are showing right now a 7-seat margin for the Liberals, that holds, because there needs to be at least one province where somebody can point to and say, this was very, very, very much rejected. And while in the election in BC it was present, but it was more like one more thing onto the pile, because John Rustad just basically took your standard conservative playbook of the day and just ran on that. There wasn't much on his own. In fact, the policy platform that he released had about 2 pages, which is actually quite similar to what Blaine Higgs actually did in in New Brunswick, actually, as well. It would appear policy platform release that was extremely thin. We need to have one province that we can point to and say, you lost because these types of policies are toxic. And the result in British Columbia, unfortunately, was not as decisive. But like I said, there it was something else, one more thing within the platform. In New Brunswick, this guy has really been running on this hard for well over a year. So the bigger the repudiation, the bigger the message it might send to certain people who want to try to go down this path, that there's no appetite for it in this country. So I am hoping, very much hoping, for it to be a decisive victory here. Pardon me while I get myself a little bit of water here. Thank you so much for that. Let's see what the kits are saying right here in the chat. Wow, you have been very active so far. Wow. Kit Lane saying extra hot chocolate just for me. Thank you so much. You are so good to me. We have Kit Linda. Good morning, my dear. Good morning. See, I'm so used to saying good morning. Good evening, my dear. So glad that you joined us. It's so nice to see you so often. Kit PNC Bio. There you go. That is wonderful. I'm glad you're here with us. We have Chris, Gadfly Robinson. I believe this is a new name for us, but thank you so much for joining us. If you're new to the Beaver Lodge, welcome. Hope that you enjoy your time with us. Let's see, who else do we have here in the chat? Yes, thank you, Kit PNC Bio, for letting me know that the sound is better than this morning. That helped out a lot, because I was going to ask, because I didn't have anybody to sound test with. We have Kit Shadeslayer here. Who says, "What's up, Doc? I pressed the play button and broke it." Glad that you could join us. That's a bit of a new name here. Liberty for Canada as well. Hi, y'all, with a little wave. Hey, thank you for joining us. Also a new name that I don't recognize from our morning shows. So thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate. Argosi Akers. Hello, dear. Lovely to see you. Thank you for popping in. Kit Cassie. Wow, okay. Popping in from Manitoba to watch what's going on in New Brunswick. I like that. Thank you. Kit Wishful. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. The anti-corporatist. Hey, we even have some viewership from the US. Thank you so much. We have D-Rock Crypto here saying still early, but maybe things are shifting provincially. Ontario next with a pray and fingers crossed. I'm right with you there. Right with you there. That would be very nice. Kit Cassie with a beautiful compliment here. I so appreciate your coverage of provincial elections. Well, they are fun things, and it's a good way to get to know the country and what the issues are in other places to get a bit of a crash course. Our elections don't last that long. So if you tune in for a bit, it gives you a little bit of better appreciation for how diverse our country is and what issues are different in different places and how politics is practiced differently. So it gives you a better appreciation on the federal side when you see a prime minister or a leader of a party trying to govern for the whole nation rather than just one region. You can see what all the competing pressures are and how the job is way more difficult than one would probably first believe. And that's true for anybody leading from any party at this point. Who else do we have with us? Cassie giving us a little comment here. Scott Moe has some of his former LMLAs running against current ones under the Sask United Party. Hopefully that will split the vote to the NDP benefit. That would definitely be good. I would like that very much if that would happen. I guess some news from BC with regard to the atmospheric rivers here. 2 people were swept away in their vehicles into a river on Vancouver Island. That is very tragic. Looking at the CBC feed here, we have a 26 Liberal, 20 PC, Green 2. So one of the seats that Liberals were leading in a little bit ago went down to Green. They're showing riding results for St. John Harbour. David Hickey, who's run a very, very good campaign, is ahead enough of Adam Smith with the PCs, 248 to 102. So he's got a 146 lead after 2 of 13 polls reporting. I would not be surprised if he did win. And he certainly was bringing the positivity to the campaign, and I'm sure that helped him a lot. And St. John Portland Simmons, John Dornan of the Liberals, has a 417 vote lead over Paul Dempsey of the Progressive Conservatives, with 4 of 11 polls reporting. The Green candidate, PJ Duncan, has 101. The Progressive Conservative candidate in that electoral district is Gary Duncan. And St. John, West Lancaster, Kate Elman Wilcott has a 113 vote lead over Kim Costain. She is the person that did that very interesting lip sync to that very interesting rap video. And Joanna Killen from the Greens has 65. And that's with just 2 of 112 polls reporting. Wow, I actually know a little bit about some of the candidates there. Turns out more than I thought, but I think those might be the 2 that I knew the most about that have caught my attention for some reason or another. This is an interesting result right here, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, in Quispamsis, which is Blaine Higgs' district right now. After 2 out of 10 polls reporting, he is actually trailing the Liberal candidate by 26. So Aaron Kennedy, if this is a situation where the Premier even loses his seat, that would be something. Also in Fredericton, Lincoln, after three of 11 polls reporting, Daniel Chippen of the PCs is actually leading David Kuhn of the Greens by 11 votes there. So leaders a little bit in trouble. But in Fredericton, South Silverwood, Susan Holt is leading Simon Willett of the Greens by 86 votes. It doesn't seem that the Conservative candidate is very much in the race there. But that is only after 2 of 10 polls reporting. However, that the polling that was looking specifically at the 3 major cities was showing that the Liberals had broken out about a 12-point lead in the Moncton area specifically. So maybe that is showing itself. No, not Moncton. Yeah, maybe 12 in Moncton and 8 in Fredericton, I believe, was the number. And in St. John's, it was only 2. It was supposed to be tighter there. So, yeah. Looking at so far, things are looking very positive for the Liberals. However, it's still relatively early. And most of these districts, it's a 2 or 3 out of 10 or 11 polls reporting. So not even fully a third of the way there when it comes to counting the vote. What else do we have here? Oh, we have one elected in Grand Falls Valley des Rivières, Saint-Quentin, Chuck Chiasson, with a 1,251 vote lead over Marc-André Ross and Danny McLean Goodbout. So Marc-André Ross of the Progressive Conservatives had 960, and Monsieur Goodbout had 227 votes. And that's just after 6 of 15 polls reporting, but it seems that the lead is big enough for them to confer that that's a win. So that's... if we're talking about leading and elected now rather than just leading, there is one elected for the Liberals based on what the CBC has projected so far. It is not showing up officially as elected on the Elections New Brunswick website. I guess the reason for that simply would be is that they would want to do that once all the votes are tallied, not just based on a projection over here. So, wow. There we go. I will have another sip of water. Thank you so much for your indulgence. There we go. And for the kids who are watching on the video, why it is that I'm saying I take a sip of water, it's for the people that will have the podcast version. So when there's a long pause, they know that it's not something wrong with their feed, that it's just me taking a little mouth rest break and to make sure, as we say often on the show, that we remain moist. So let's see, what else do we have in the chat here. Kit Argosy Acres gives us more news about what's going on in BC. A woman in Coquitlam died when her home was slammed by a mudslide. So yeah, it's like I said, I believe there was one place in BC that had reported 233 millimeters of rain, which was a lot. Coquitlam specifically. So there you go. Whether that would probably be why that happened then, according to the Times columnist here. I can't imagine that amount of rain. There was 317 millimeters of rain recorded at Kennedy Lake. Tofino received 218. So there's 67 in the Greater Victoria area and 66 at the international airport. So yeah, that's very very tragic and concerning, and hopefully, I have no doubt that Canadians will be pitching in when it comes time to make sure to help our neighbors and our fellow citizens recover from it. Kit Tabby G, seeing people saying that they voted Conservative in BC because they didn't want Trudeau. Oh my God, what has happened to our education system? Yeah, I saw those videos too. A little baffling to think that you were going to go to a provincial election and vote Trudeau out somehow. Yeah, not only our education system, but our media system. I mean, seriously, this is the type of, the profiles. Why are we having an election now? How do you vote? Who are we voting for? What are the parties? All those sort of primers. There's a public education role that media is supposed to do, and it seems that we are losing that as well, unfortunately, which is pretty sad, because you want people casting informed votes as much as possible. Unfortunately, even some of our political parties would like to get in the way of our right to cast a fully informed vote by either trading in disinformation or just doing things like showing up to debates. Right? We have another elected in Carleton, Victoria, Progressive Conservative candidate, Margaret Johnson. She is returned. She has a 1,124 lead over Julianne Moulton of the Liberals, who had 820, and Rebecca Blayvoet with 139. And that one was a riding with more polls, because I've been seeing usually 10 to 13, but this is 10 of 27 polls reporting. But again, seems that the lead is big enough. I would assume that that's geographically a bigger riding, but less densely populated, I would assume, to have 27 polls, but with that low number of votes counted. All right. The share of the vote is showing now 44.7 for the Liberals and 38.8 for the Progressive Conservatives. The Greens are inched up from 11.1 last time we checked in to 13.6. Other parties have got 2.9 there. And that's quite interesting. The seat change is plus 10 for the Liberals, down 8 for the Progressive Conservatives, and down 2 for the People's Alliance. The Greens so far are maintaining the 2 that they had. So they're breaking even at the moment. So there we go with that. Let's see, what else do we have here from the kids? What do we got here? Yeah, we have Argos Acres. Kennedy Lake is beautiful. Highway was closed for a while due to falling debris. We have some ridings that are at the moment too close to call, and some of them have more votes than others. So in Cataquet, where there's only one vote, well, 2 votes cast, one for the Liberals and one for the PC, so difference of 0. In Fredericton York, it's 3 votes to 2. Fredericton North, 6 votes to 4. Liberals leading in those as well. In Moncton Northwest, the PC candidate has 9 and the Liberals have 11. In Fredericton Lincoln, the PCs have 480 and the Greens have 469, so a whole lot more votes there with only an 11 vote difference. Also in Hampton Fundy, St. Martin's, the PC candidate has 248 and the Liberals have 237, that's 11. And in Kent North, it's a Green Liberal race battle there, with the Green candidate having 367 and the Liberals having 351 for a spread of 16. So currently, with where we are in the vote counting, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the sorry, of the I don't know how many seats at all total. So 46, 48, 40, 49, of course. There we go. 7 of the 49 seats that so far are running too close to call. That's very interesting. There seems to have been a jump in the numbers, so something must have happened somewhere along the way, according to the CBC. Right after they were showing the seat change numbers, it didn't take all that long, but the bar on the bottom of the screen jumped to 28 Liberal seats from 36, and then jumped to 31 immediately after that, and then settled in at 30. So 30 Liberal seats, 17 PC, 2 Green. If this can hold, this is definitely the type of repudiation and blowout for which I was hoping. That would send a message to conservative voters that they were on the wrong track. With not conservative voters, conservative parties, and the brain trust that they were on the wrong track with everything that they're doing, the privatizing the healthcare and attacking trans kids and treating homeless people like they are disposable and people with addictions as if they don't have rights. All that, the whole kit and caboodle. Hopefully this holds, but right now I am really freaking proud of you, New Brunswick. Really freaking proud. Still early. But right now, this is looking very, very positive. There was a Main Street poll that came out about 3 days before the election that was showing near in the last few days. Pardon me. I'm so sorry. That there had seemed to be a hard shift towards the Liberals and was showing a 10% difference in vote intentions between the Liberals and the Progressive Conservatives. And since October 4th, it seems so, the last 17 days specifically, it seems that that was the inflection point where things started to pick up some momentum for the New Brunswick Liberals. So this is something that is making me really, really, really happy at the moment, Kits and Cubs. Who's asking this? Kit Argo say, Douglas, is your beard rubbing up against the mic? That could be making that noise? Uh, it might be possible every now and then, but if you're hearing something like, for example, right now, then it's something. It probably just means that my computer is being particularly over solicited, and unfortunately, the sound is not doesn't have a clear pathway to get to you, and for that, I definitely apologize. I wonder if there's an issue with the mic connection to the computer. Same kind of thing happens with the DJ setup, says Frankie. Yeah, that could be. I have unplugged the mic and plugged it back in, but I can try that again. Let me know what happens there. Ah, darn. The computer, sorry, kits and cubs. The computer muted itself. Do you hear me now? Just want to make sure. No sound at all? Oh, I'm back? Okay, cool. Yeah, I do not know what happened, Kit. Sorry, the mic just decided it was muting itself while I was talking, and the reason I couldn't see the chat is that I was looking up information on another screen. I apologize. I do not know how long I was out for. Pardon me. Pardon me if I am going to repeat myself, but as you saw over uh, over the screen, CBC declared that the Liberals have secured a majority government uh, fewer than 44 minutes after the returns had started. So that was relatively quick, I would say. But yeah, there we go. We have a Liberal majority in New Brunswick. And I was saying that this makes me very, 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 very happy. Because it allows us to breathe a little bit easier as a nation with regard to wanting to keep our constitution safe. And it does create, right now I'm seeing 30 Liberal, 17 PC, 2 Greens. It does create that thing to which media can point to ask, start asking Pierre Poilievre some very, very uncomfortable questions. Because right now he's being presented to us as someone who is inevitable, and there's no point in questioning his plans and policies right now. You know, it's like it's the big Pierre machine, and that's the big story. But now we have one province where his policies have been totally repudiated, and even though British Columbia was close, if the result holds and it is a NDP green supply and confidence government, it does make two provinces where there's a conservative candidate that ran on those policies, and they did not lead them to victory ultimately. So, yeah, it would be nice if some journalists start talking policy and asking him if he's got the right suite of ideas, and if so, to start putting a little more meat on the bone with regard to his policies, because so far the conservative uh, attitude is that we are not allowed to know what it is that they plan to do to us. I will not say for, I really do believe it is to us until the writ gets drawn, which means whatever it is that their plans are, we've got 32 to 36 days about to figure it out to see if we like that or not. That's a that's not a long election campaign. That gives them a lot of time to run away and avoid and use a distraction so that they don't have to answer any of our questions really. And as we know, a lot of people don't like to show up to debates, and they're not too keen on releasing policy platforms that are detailed in any way and sometimes not even costed, which is really ironic from a conservative party not wanting to release a costed plan when they are supposedly the people that you run to. Or at least they like to present themselves as the people you run to if you need sound fiscal management. Right now, we see one additional Liberal seat here, 31 Liberal, PC 16, and Green 2. So let's go through the electoral districts and see what we got here. According to New Brunswick, right now, I see 334,763 ballots cast out of 568,944 electors for a vote a percentage of 60.42, which is way higher than BC. Way higher than BC. 70% used to be was really good, in Canada up until about 1993 for federal elections. Um, so picking up a 60 here. Uh, it seems that people did come out to vote here. I sound sublime now, says Kid Frankie. Well, thank you so much. Kid Cassie, I hope New Brunswick will be like Manitoba and not fall for the reform conservative policies. Indeed. Indeed, indeed. Obsessive audio. Oh my God, once they get a look at those books. Yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to learn a lot about how Mr. Higgs reached those alleged surpluses in there. Um, Kit Argosy Acres asking, do the Libs need 25 seats? Yes, 25 for majority is what they need. According to Kit Elaine, it seems that confirmed are 22 Liberal, 10 Conservative, 1 Green so far, if I understand the comment correctly as written. I hope so. And the 2 Green Party uh, candidates are now, the 2 Green Party candidates, who were leading are now considered elected. So that helps there. But the Green Party will not be holding a balance of power role here like that might be the case in British Columbia. All right, let's see. In Restigouche West, we have Gilles Lepage for the Liberal, leading with 3,919 votes to 1723 from Diane Cyr in that one. And it is not deemed elected yet. So we'll do this. Although there's only 4 polls left to report in that whole district. So I'm pretty sure that won't take long to confirm Gilles Lepage in that one. In Restigouche East, we have also 4 ballots remaining in there, 4 ballot boxes or polling stations to report there. But Guy Arsenault has a lead over Normand Pelletier. Arsenault is a Liberal, Pelletier is a Progressive Conservative, 3,250 votes to 2218. In Belle-Baie-Belle-Dune, there are only 3 polls left to report. Marco Leblanc of the Liberals has a very commanding lead 5,052 to 1,411 from Rachel Boudreau of the Green Party. In Bathurst, 3 polls left to report. René Legacy of the Liberals has 3,353 votes over Kim Chamberlain, who has 2,028. So that looks pretty secure here. And Haute-Terre Nipissiguit, there's only 2 candidates in this one. Luc Robichaud of the Liberals has a commanding lead, 4,174 to 1,019 over Jason Purdy. And there are 1, 2, 5 polls left to report in here. And pardon me, I'll be right with you. In Caraquette, Isabelle Thériault of the Liberals leads Jean-Paul Lantaigne 5,603 votes to 677. That one is pretty decided, and 4 polls left to report there. In Chipégan-les-Îles, Éric Mallet of the Liberals has a 5,119 vote tally over Wilfred Roussel of the Green Party with 1,111. There, the Progressive Conservative candidate only picked up 530, and 3 polls left to report there. In 8, this is writing number 8, Tracadie, Keith Chiasson has a 4,821 over Serge Brideau of the Green Party, 3,654, and Gertrude McLaughlin of the Progressive Conservatives down with 509. This might be, I'm guessing that these are the more francophone electoral districts in New Brunswick, where it is very, 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 very clear among the entire francophone community that Blaine Higgs is no friend of francophones. Higgs was one of the key people back in the days of the Confederation of Regions Party, and they had a overtly, relatively aggressive anti-bilingualism stance there. In Miramichi, Bay-Neguac of the Liberals with 4,068 votes over Régent Savoie of the Progressive Conservatives, 2,987, with 4 polls left to report. In Miramichi East, there we go, Michelle Conroy of the Progressive Conservatives leads Véronique Arsenault of the Liberals, 3,517 to 2,862, with 4 polls left to report. In Miramichi West, we have Mike Dawson of the Progressive Conservatives that has a 3,483 vote count, ahead of Mark Hambrook, who has 2,165. There's an independent candidate running in this one, Richard Sutherland, who picked up 108 votes there, and also four polls to report there. In Kent North, we have Pat Finnegan of the Liberals, 3,928, and Kevin Arsenault of the Green Party, 3,251 there. And that's with 3 polls left to report here. Kit Frankie. All right, kids, have a lovely evening. So happy for New Brunswick. See you in the AM. Rest well, Kit Frankie. Thank you for joining us. And I see Kit Linda M. Cassie, that's the way to do it. Better candidates mean a better party. I do agree with that. I'd have to see what Kit Cassie said before that. I renewed my Manitoba PC party to vote in the leadership race next month. Yes, indeed. If you're in Manitoba, there's going to be a leadership race for the Progressive Conservative Party. And as we always recommend on the show, because democracy is something that you do, party politics, the leadership races and that type of stuff is where it really is at when it comes to democracy. If you want better candidates in the election, you have to get in at the leadership race and weed out the candidates that are undesirable at that stage. Once they become a leader, they have a whole machine behind them to help pump them up. So you want to, whether you are a voter of whether you are a progressive conservative voter or not, if you are allowed to buy a membership, buy one, especially if they just have 1-year memberships, to vote in the leadership race, so to at least make sure that they field a candidate that is somewhat acceptable, rather than a Rustad or a Higgs. If you've got the powers in your hands to do that, if we got more involved at the local level and at the party level, we might not get Daniel Smiths and Doug Fords. We might do some quality control a little earlier on in the process. In Beausoleil, Grand Bouctouche, Kent, Benoit Bourque of the Liberals is ahead of Anne Bastarache of the Progressive Conservatives, 5,794 to 1,759, with just 3 polls left to report. Chidiac Dieppe, Robert Gauvin, 6,350, ahead of René Efestian, 1,806, 3 polls left to report there. In Chidiac Capacadi, Jacques Leblanc has 5,438, and the Green Party candidate 2,900 there. 3 polls left to report there as well. Let's see, that's Chidiac Capacadi. And Tantramar, Meg Mitten of the Green Party has 2,468 votes there over John Higham of the Liberals, 1,276, and just 3 polls left to report there. So that's one of the Green seats. It was interesting to see Kevin Arsenault actually trailing in his seat. So that must mean that the Greens lost one of their seats and picked up another one somewhere else. In Dieppe, Memrakuk, Natasha Vautour of the Liberals has 2,900 votes over the Green Party candidate, who has 894, the Progressive Conservative candidate, who has 725. There are more polls to report there, however. 3 plus 4, 7, 8 left there. So far, that's the place where we've seen most polls yet to report. In Moncton East, the Liberals, Alexandre Cédric Doucet, has 4,447 to 1,902 for Paolo Andretti of the Progressive Conservatives, and only 3 polls left to report there. In Moncton Centre, Rob McKee of the Liberals has 3,501 over Dave Melançon of the Progressive Conservatives with 1,738, and only 2 polls left to report there. Moncton South, Claire Johnson of the Liberals is ahead of Greg Turner of the Progressive Conservatives, 3,558 to 2,229, and only 2 polls left to report there as well. In Moncton Northwest, Tanya Sodhi has a slim lead of 126 votes over Ernie Steves of the Progressive Conservatives, with 2 polls left to report there. So that's one that's relatively close. Pardon me? There you go. So that's one I'm going to keep my eye on to see how that moves over the course of the last little bit here. Kit Tabby G says, "Thank you for the coverage, Douglas." Thank you so much. I appreciate the encouragement. Thank you, Kit Tabby G. That's absolutely wonderful. I appreciate the nice pat on the back there. Um, let's see, what else do we have here from the kids here? There we go. Yes, Argosy probably pays to join more than one political party just to help control who gets nominated. Yes, but I think you can only be a member of one party at any level of government at one time. So, like federally, you can't be a member of the Liberal Party and the Progressive and the Conservative Party at the same time. So when I voted, when I bought the membership for the Conservative Party race, I bought it for 1 year so that I could vote not Pierre in the race and then leave myself free to get another party membership should another party have a leadership in the meantime. And provincially, it was the same thing when the Liberals were having their party membership. I registered there so that I can vote in that party leadership race. And my membership will lapse eventually. And then whatever party it is, I will join that one for the minimum amount of time required so that I can vote. So that's the way I do it. And I encourage other people to do the same. And if, again, there's not that many people who show up to these things to vote. So, if you're a group of like-minded people and you mobilize together, you can have an outside influence at that level that you can't necessarily have in a general election. So that's always something to consider. Right? Kit Suzanne, thank you for covering. I'm in Ontario and couldn't be more excited right now. I do agree. This is some exciting news. So in the 4 Moncton seats specifically, right now it looks like a Liberal sweep. In Champ Doré, what is this one here? Champ Doré, Irishtown, Lynn Chantal Boudreau of the Liberals, 3,596 over Ricky Gautreau of the Progressive Conservatives, 2,331, with only 3 polls left to report. I'm really loving that I'm getting to use my French tonight to pronounce names correctly. Rob Weir of the PCs has 3,114 votes over Scott Grant of the Liberals, 2,740 in Riverview. And there are 2 polls left to report, so that looks like a seat for the Progressive Conservatives that's pretty solidly in their camp. In Albert Riverview, Sherry Wilson of the PCs has 4,247 over Dave Guthrow of the Liberals, 2,497. Only 3 polls left to report there. In Arcadia, Butternut Valley, Maple Hills, okay, that has got to, again, that's a writing. That sounds, just the name, that sounds like a place I would like to go visit. Arcadia, Butternut Valley, Maple Hills. Dan Monahan of the Progressive Conservatives has 4,881 over Connie Larson, 2212, with only 3 polls left to report. So that looks solidly in the Progressive Conservative hands. And Rothsay, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce that one. So pardon my my mispronunciation if I make a mistake. Alison Townsend of the Liberals has 4,026 over Hugh J. Fleming, who has 3,329, with 2 polls left to report there. Now we get to St. John East. Glenn Savoy of the Progressive Conservatives, this one is a very, very close race, has 3,179 over David Alston of the Liberals, who has 3,147. So that is that's a 32 vote lead only with 2 polls left to report in that one. That's a tight race. We should be watching that one too. I need to be taking some notes to be able to get back to those. Yes, okay, I'll take some notes here. That's writing 21 and writing 30, and that way I can monitor them for you. In 31, St. John, Portland Simond, John Dornan of the Liberals has a healthy lead over Paul Dempsey, 3,544 to 2,497, with 2 polls left to report. In St. John Harbor, David Hickey, who we mentioned earlier, has increased his lead, 3,412 to 1,562 over Adam Smith. 2 polls left to report there. In St. John West Lancaster, Kate Elman Wilcott is leading Kim Costain of the Progressive Conservatives, 3,524 to 2,785 there, with 2 polls left to report. So in the 4 ridings in St. John's, right now, St. John, sorry, that is 3 Liberals leading with enough that it looks like it will hold, and 1 right now in the hands of the Progressive Conservatives, but with a fewer than 30 vote difference, which could still flip. We have a Kit Tommy Two Tone here. What are the numbers like in regards to how many people got out to vote? Hopefully, it's better than Ontario. Right now, it is over 60%, so definitely better than Ontario, Tommy Two Tone. I will be able to give you, right now, I'm looking at individual ridings. So the riding that I just mentioned, St. John, West Lancaster, the voter turnout in that district alone was 66.86%. So much healthier turnout than we've seen in a while. Let's just put it that way. We have a Kit Brent Whiteside as well. Hello, welcome to the Beaver Lodge. Glad you joined us. Says that Blaine Higgs has to be kicked to the curb. Good on you, New Brunswick. I actually have a funny story about that because I was promoting our special on our Facebook page, and I wrote that. Come on, let's see, let's kick Blaine Higgs to the curb. And I even wrote, like, I said, to the curb with a K-U, and then I got a warning about that might be a violent tweet. Would I like to reconsider rewriting it? So I said I had to switch it to dispatch him to the political netherworld. Really, kick him to the curb is now violent speech. Man, jeez. All right, let's keep going. King's Center, 2 polls left to report there. Bill Oliver of the Progressive Conservatives has a solid lead, 3,815 over Brian Stephenson of the Liberals, 2,557. Fundy the Isles, St. John, Lorneville, Ian Lee of the Progressive Conservatives, 3,463 to 1,867. 1,867. Just saying. To everybody who's listening on podcast, I'm wearing my Team Canada t-shirt, so I showed the Canada logo off. 1867. That's Patty Borthwick of the Liberals who has that. So Ian Lee seems to have secured that one pretty soundly. In St. Croix, Kathy Baucus of the Progressive Conservatives leads 3,338 to 1934 over Troy Lyons of the Liberals, with about 5 polls left to report there. I think that lead might still be too big to overcome. In Oromocto, Sunbury, Mary E. Wilson of the Progressive Conservatives has a healthy lead, 4,357 to 2,720 over Stephen Horseman of the Liberals, with only 2 polls left to report there. Then we get to the next metropolitan area, which is Fredericton. So Fredericton, Grand Lake, Chris Austin of the PCs has a very solid lead over Kevin Dingham of the Liberals, 4,229 to 2,207, with only 3 polls left to report. In Fredericton, Lincoln, David Kuhn of the Green Party has retaken the lead. He was trailing a little bit for at one point over the course of the evening over Daniel Chippen of the Progressive Conservatives, 3,350 to 2,114, with 2 polls left to report. So it looks like the leader of the Green Party will be reelected. In Fredericton, South Silverwood, Susan Holt has 3,180 over Nicole Carlin, 1,348, with 6 polls still left to report in that one. In Fredericton North, Luke Randall of the Liberals has 3,690 over Jill Green of the PCs, 2,416, with just 3 polls left to report. And in Fredericton York, Ryan Collins of the Progressive Conservatives has 2,454 over Tanya Whitney of the Liberals, 1,544, with 5 polls left to report. So it seems the polling company that showed that Moncton had a very heavy Liberal lead was not particularly accurate there because it's far from a sweep. I see 1 Liberal, 2 Liberals, 1 Green, and 3 PCs out of the 6 seats there. In Hanwell, New Maryland, Cindy Miles of the Liberals. Wow, this electoral district had 6 people running in it. But Cindy Miles of the Liberals, 3,813 over Judy Wilson Shee of the Progressive Conservatives, 3,729. So that's less than 100 vote margin, and there are 3 polls left to report. So that might be one to keep an eye on, because that might have enough to swing things. In Carleton, York, Richard Ames of the Progressive Conservatives has 4,040 over Chris Duffy's 1,916, with 5 polls left to report, but that looks solidly in Progressive Conservative hands. In Woodstock, Heartland, Bill Hogan of the PC, Bill Hogan, I believe he was the education minister who claimed that he had hundreds of letters stating that there was objections to policy 713, and then turns out that there wasn't really all that many. In other words, he may have lied. I won't say that he did lie, because I don't know him well enough to ascribe intent, but it seems that he may have lied. It seems that he won his seat 4,119 over Marisa Pelkey of the Liberals, 2,549, with 2 polls left to report. In Carleton, Victoria, Margaret Johnson of the Progressive Conservatives, a very healthy lead over Julian Moulton, 4,196 to 1,961, with 6 polls left to report there. And now here's a riding for you. Grand Falls, Vallée des Rivières, Saint-Quentin, Grand Sault, Vallée des Rivières, Saint-Quentin. There we go, in English and in French. Chuck Chasson, 4,974 over Marc-Andre Ross, 2,493. That's the Liberal over the Progressive Conservative, with just 2 polls left to report. In Edmundston, Vallée des Rivières, Jean-Claude Damour of the Liberals, very solid lead, 5,573 over Roger Kimper of the Progressive Conservatives, 1,049, with all but 2 polls reporting. And finally, Madawaska, Les Lacs Edmundston, Francine Landry of the Liberals has 4,314 over Michel Morin of the Progressive Conservatives, 1,795. That looks very, very solidly in the Liberal camp. So that's it, writing by writing at the moment, according on the CBC website right now. See Blaine Higgs walking in, I'm guessing, to give his concession speech. So far, I believe he is still trailing in his riding, according to the polls. So, but I will go give that an additional check for you, kits and cubs, just to make sure. Trying to see which, can't remember off the top of my head which electoral district he represents. So I will just look at that again. Yes, Kempepsis. I hope I pronounced that wrong. Right. I hope I pronounced that right, not wrong. All right. There we go. That's number 28. And yes, he has indeed lost his seat, according to Elections New Brunswick. Aaron Kennedy, 3,860 to Blaine Higgs is 3,667, just under 200 vote lead. But Blaine Higgs has lost his seat. That is big news. Wow. That is, I had no idea. I had no idea that was in the cards, to be honest. In Hampton Fundy, that's the other one that we're going to look at, because I saw Kit mention something on the chat about Fatine Grisecci. According to what I have here, if it says Kit Tabby G reported Fatine got in, that might be the case from what I see here. John Heron of the Liberals has 2,206. Fatine has 2,026, so she's down by 180 votes but there are still 4 polls left to report in that one. So maybe she hasn't gotten in yet. I don't know if CBC has been able to project something a little further ahead than that. Now there's 3 polls left to report, and there has been no change in that electoral district. It's still a 180 vote lead for John Heron, but I will put that in my list of seats to monitor. Moncton Northwest was one of the first ones that we had, and this one has been confirmed elected. Tanya Sodi of the Liberals had 3,761 votes over Ernie Steeves of the Progressive Conservatives, 3,536. So that was a big enough lead to have that confirmed. So I will take that off my list as she's been confirmed. The other one I was looking at was St. John East. And this one is very close. This one might have to go to this one might have a mandatory recount because Glenn Savoy of the Progressive Conservatives has 3,181 over 3,147 for Dave Alston of the Liberals. So that is literally just a 34.34 vote lead. But so far, Glenn Savoy has been declared elected. I'm guessing that that one would indeed go to a recount to make sure. That one might be automatic given the margin. And the other one I was looking at was Hanwell, New Maryland. And there is one poll left to report now, and it seems to be a bigger margin now. Cindy Miles of the Liberals is over Judy Wilson Shee by 76 votes at the moment, 3,816 to 3,740. So we'll keep that, and I will keep my eye back on Faytine's writing to see what's going on there. Right now, the seat count is still showing 31 Liberals, 16 Progressive Conservatives, and 2 Greens. That's something that is very good as far as I'm concerned. And for the entirety of the province, because someone was asking about voter turnout, right now voter turnout is at 62.91%. According to Elections New Brunswick, there are 6 Progressive Conservatives confirmed elected. Of course, one of them will go to a recount. 18 Liberals confirmed and 2 Greens confirmed. Again, CBC might have other ways of projecting, doing the math, looking forward, how many ballots might be left and then figuring it out that way. But Elections New Brunswick only confirms it when they themselves have confirmed it. So my numbers here might be different than what it is that you're seeing on TV at the moment. Kit Linda here is telling us in the chat, Higgs is given his concession speech. Sounds like he's stepping down after consultations. Of course. Yes. Amazing turnout, 62.91, because I believe in Ontario, the last provincial election was 48. And in the BC election, it was, I was surprised with how low it was considering, the grounds were shifting so quickly. Provincial election results, trying to see. Nope, can't find that as easily as I would have hoped. But according to Castanet, said this year's BC election saw a fairly average voter turnout, with 99.77 of all ballot boxes reporting. The preliminary voter turnout was 57.39% in British Columbia. Anything under 60% is very bad. And like I said, for the federal elections up until 1993, it wasn't uncommon to get to 70%. So lowish by our best standards, but 62 is definitely way better than what we've been seeing in a good long while. We have David Kuhn here on CBC chatting with the hosts as well. I'm not sure if he's given a speech yet at his campaign headquarters this evening, but he is doing media with CBC at the moment. And let me just, while we're at it, since we're comparing, get to the federal election voter turnout from the last one. So the last federal election that we had, the voter turnout there was 62.6. The one previous was 67, and the one before that, 68.3. So there you go. And the 68.3 was the highest we had since 1993 at that point. So the election that brought Justin Trudeau into power as prime minister was the highest vote election since 1993. And that was the election that gave us the new sort of pizza parliament that we have, with at least 5 parties having representation in the House as opposed to 3, which was the case prior to that. We have Kit Rainshine here at Red Tailspin, who I believe is new to us, with an interesting comment here stating, a conservative man on David Cochrane's panel sarcastically said that the best thing the Conservatives had going for them was Justin Trudeau. This occurred just before the vote count started. Hopefully he apologized to PM Trudeau now. I doubt that. Conservatives tend to demand a lot of apologies, but not offer many of them. At least this current brand of it. So yeah. Well, Kit TW1 with offering us boring. I apologize. Sorry, I couldn't be more entertaining for your tastes. All right. What else do we have here? Mr. Kuhn is still chatting away. So now that we have a liberal government, it would seem, we are going to be looking at some interesting movement on a lot of files. The Liberal Party did have a good platform out in terms of it, being somewhat solid and substantive of things that they wanted to offer New Brunswickers. So there will be some questions now on their part on how it is they manage to transform that platform into action and initiatives in order to be able to serve the people and live up to their commitments and promises. Now, that's one of the ways that Miss Holt actually came to our attention, is that around, I believe, between Christmas and New Year's, or around New Year's, she had prepared a video very specifically stating what it is that she had planned for housing. And I was very impressed with not only the presentation, but the fact that there was some actual substance to what it is that she had to say, and that she was coming out against what appears to be conventional wisdom these days, to not release your platform too early, because either people might steal it or find a whole bunch of ways to counter it or poke holes through it, and that type of thing. Which, that is definitely a risk that you take when you release your platform early. But you also have, if you do it the right way, you also have the opportunity to set the agenda in that case, get people talking, get people responding to you. And if you do have the meat to go on those bones when those questions come, well, then, all of a sudden, you're in a pretty good position, because you're the one that's driving the narrative, and that's never a bad thing when it comes to an election, because you would be rather the one that's making the news and giving the topic of the day, to which everybody is going to be responding. Unfortunately, I was trying to open the Liberal platform, and that wasn't working very well. However, I do have the New Brunswick platform guide that was prepared by not CBC, but by CTV News Atlantic, to help people make their own decision. And when it comes to the Liberals, some of the things that they have promised when it comes to healthcare, for example, is to establish and support 30 community care clinics that offer local collaborative care from a variety of health professionals. They also sought to develop a multi-pronged plan to improve working conditions, prioritize support for wellness, and increase retention for all healthcare professionals. The amount of money that the premier, well, now the former premier, very soon, has spent on nursing agencies and funneling money to a middleman to pay way more to not get much more in terms of service has been a big issue during the campaign. To improve the compensation model for doctors and primary care providers, including fair pay for those who perform after hours care. This is very, very important because all the provinces that are experiencing these difficulties with retaining healthcare staff or having healthcare staff wanting to set up and come to the province, a lot of the problem has to do with the compensation model. So it seems that here in this case, Susan Holt and her government will plan to do things to work on the actual aspect of the problem of actually retaining and attracting doctors and not just approving credentials more quickly or something of the sort. Work with regulators to improve foreign credential recognition for nurses, doctors, and other healthcare professionals already living in New Brunswick. Review and expand healthcare professionals' scope of practice to optimize their roles. Provide the RSV vaccine for free for seniors and vulnerable people. Increase access to fertility treatments by funding one round of IVF. Make contraception free. So that's going to fit in with the federal Liberals' pharmacare plan. Ensure New Brunswickers can better access abortion services by amending Regulation 8420. Ensure mental health professionals are located in as many community care clinics as possible. And increase residency seats for psychiatrists and clinical psychologists, and develop a retention and training plan for psychologists, counselors, and other mental health professionals, specifically within schools. So on the healthcare side, this is something that you might be able to start see the Liberals working on, and I'm sure that they are eager to get started as soon as possible. Got Kid Kesky going, wonder how Uncle Stephen is receiving this news. I'm guessing he's not doing too well here. Kit Argosy Acres, PP will be stomping his little feet. Perhaps so. Perhaps so. PNC Bio, I have a hard time believing Patrick Brown would be this bad, but pretty much any other part is preferable to that much. Yes, and things might get interesting there. It seems that there's a committee that wants to look into some of the stuff with regard to foreign interference, and they have asked Patrick Brown and other leadership contenders from that leadership race to show up to testify. So I'm guessing that would include Pierre Poilievre. I would hope. Let's see, what else do we have here from the kids. Let's see. Argosiakis. Boom, boom. Cassie, like, excellent show, Douglas. Better coverage than the mainstream media. Oh, my. Thank you so much. What a beautiful compliment. Thank you, Kit Cassie. And I see that you were wishing us good night. Please rest well. Do have a peaceful evening as yourself as well. And please say hello to the cowboy for us. We really, really, really appreciate that he makes you happy. All right. Kit PNC Bio. Like, if he tried to steal all that green space, he might have gotten away with it. In a way, Doug is at least safer. He's so bad at criming. Oh, hopefully in time he gets his too, because we could definitely use a little return on investment there. We've endured him a lot. And, it would be nice to see some charges there. All right. No further movement in Hampton Fundy St. Martin's, so still 180 vote lead for John Heron over Fratine Grissecci. And the other district I was looking at was Hanwell, New Maryland, so checking in there as well. Still not confirmed, but Cindy Miles still has the 76 vote lead with one poll left to report. And in that electoral district, just under 71% of people voted. So that is really good. When I see at least 70, I start to get real happy. So this is exceptional use. Getting back to things that New Brunswickers might be able to expect from the governing Liberals on affordability and housing, they say immediately introduce a rent cap. That is so needed. Overhaul property tax to ensure stability and fairness. Stop the degradation of public housing and invest in both the renovation and creation of new public housing. Yes, please. Provide funding for safety and accessibility retrofits for New Brunswick seniors and people with disabilities who wish to stay in their homes. Yes, that is good too. It is way less expensive to keep people in their homes than to move them in some type of care or to even provide them with a little bit of supported or assisted living as opposed to having to go into full care. Immediately remove the provincial sales tax on electricity, providing 10% relief from home energy bills. Immediately remove the gas tax, saving New Brunswickers around 4 cents a litre at the pumps. Provide wraparound services to those experiencing chronic homelessness, starting with housing and supporting a community case management approach. Explore a plan for a basic income for New Brunswickers living with disabilities. Yes, 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 1,000 times yes, because that's what the federal program was supposed to be. Was supposed to lift Canadians living with disabilities or different abilities out of poverty, and it didn't come close to doing that because the federal government. Well, it would seem that a lot of provincial governments were letting the federal government know that if they made the plan too generous, they were planning to claw it back. So it had to be as much as the federal government could get away with it, get away with, without making it so attractive that provinces would claw something back, and that ended up being woefully insufficient to reach the original goal. So it looks like New Brunswick and uh, Newfoundland and Labrador will be the first two provinces to do what is needed to try and get Canadians in their provinces who are living with disabilities or different abilities an actual basic income. And finally, increase social assistance rates given the rising cost of food and housing while ensuring regulations are not penalizing recipients. These are some good plans that will do a lot of people a lot of good in that province. Um, Tuning back in here, everything seems stable on the seat count 31-16-2, Liberal PC Greens. Back to what New Brunswickers could expect. On education and childcare, the Liberals are planning to retain and recruit teachers, support professionals, educational assistants, and bus drivers. Improve working conditions for all education professionals, prioritizing support and wellness. Increase financial support for those entering education professions. Develop a fresh 10-year plan with teachers and other education professionals, experts, and parents to set a collective vision for education. Support inclusive education for all students by reviewing class composition and identifying and filling the staffing, training, and resourcing gaps impacting the effective implementation of Policy 322. And I wish I could tell you, kids and cups, off the top of my head, what Policy 332 is. Unfortunately, I am not that informed. I must plead ignorance. Now, according to the government of New Brunswick here, um, uh, nope, actually, it does not say in this what the overall goal is. I'm looking through some documents here. I have some definitions. So, goals and principles of Policy 322. Inclusive public education, recognizing that every student can learn, is universal. The provincial curriculum is provided equitably to all students, and this is done in an inclusive, common learning environment shared among age appropriate peers in their neighborhood school. And then there are other aspects towards that. A key element of sustaining an inclusive education system consists of the removal of barriers to learning as well as ensuring access to learning opportunities for relevant school personnel. The Department of Education and Early Childhood Development and districts must establish and maintain a professional learning program to ensure that education staff have the knowledge and skills needed to provide effective instruction to a diverse student population. And inclusive education practices are not only necessary for all students to develop and prosper, but also critical to building a society that is inclusive of all people and their basic legal, civil, and human rights. Um, so that is the overall goal of that policy. As well, in the education and childcare sector, the Liberals intend to provide nutritious, universal free breakfast and pay what you can lunches to all New Brunswick students, leveraging local New Brunswick food where possible. So, there again, it looks like we will have another province that will be signing on to the National School Food Program. That's very positive. Provide staff and students with the necessary tools to create a positive learning environment while properly utilizing personal electronic devices and other technologies. That looks like maybe a cell phone ban in the classrooms. Continue grade 1 early French immersion and expand access points for grade 6 entry. Looked like that was going after some immersion programs, might have been on the conservative radar in this election. Eliminate the 4,000 child waitlist for affordable childcare. Retain early childhood educators by improving working conditions and increasing wages. Increase financial support for early childhood education students, and continue implementing $10 a day childcare across the province, making it more accessible. Um, there we go. And those elements. What else do we have here from our kits? Mentioning we have kit obsessive audio. Democracy is something that you do. With our tagline, thank you so much. That provokes a warm fuzzy. We have a Kit Tabby G going. Fatine did an interview a couple of nights ago with Jordan Peterson. Yeah, yeah. Nor I often say that I watch these things so you don't have to. That one I did not watch. I'm only a beaver. There's only so much I can take. Oh my word. Jeez. All right. Back to the platform. What else that you might be able to expect from the New Brunswick Liberals if you're living in the province with it as it pertains to economic development? Balance the budget, as they say they will do. Provide grants to New Brunswickers who study to work in high priority fields such as healthcare, the building trades, and education. Focus immigration pathways on critical labor needs. Review and simplify the foreign credential recognition process. Invest in the right sectors at the right time, including emerging opportunities in energy, technology, agriculture, and manufacturing. Deliver an energy plan that provides affordable, reliable, clean energy for New Brunswickers and New Brunswick businesses. Increase productivity by reviewing and improving investment tax credits. Close cell coverage and high speed internet gaps across the province. Increase New Brunswick exports by diversifying international markets and working with Canadian neighbors to remove trade and credential barriers posing economic roadblocks. Consider arts and culture as important economic and social drivers. And finally, leverage an asset management plan for transportation infrastructure to ensure roads and bridges are prioritized for repair or replacement and contractors are paid on time. We have one final section of the platform that we'll go through dealing with the environment. But first, I will take a look at the two electoral districts that we still have been monitoring to see if there are any developments. So, one of them was Manuel, New Maryland. We are now down to just one poll needing to report, and seems to be no change yet. Still Cindy Miles leading Judy Wilson Shee by 76 votes in that one. And of course, the electoral district of Fatine. Fatine. 4 still not reporting. I do not know what the delay is there. And in this electoral district, the vote turnout is extremely low, 48.56%. So I don't know if her being in it just suppressed the vote. People saw it as a clown show and decided not to participate. But it's still just an 180 vote lead for John Heron, and there doesn't seem to be much movement in it. And now, according to elections in New Brunswick, though, however, on the leading and elected, on the elected itself, the Greens have 2, the PCs 8 confirmed elected, and the Liberals have hit 25 confirmed. So now, with elections in New Brunswick as well, it is confirmed a Liberal majority. That needs to be celebrated. That needs to be celebrated. All right. So, one last little bit of the platform, and it doesn't look like those results will be coming in quickly on that, but the result overall is decisive. So I will start doing my sign off so that Mr. Grizzly can come in and do his ASMR show. If you happen to be a progressive conservative voter who is watching us tonight and are finding the result hard to take, I do recommend that you check in with Mr. Grizzly's ASMR show. He might have some soothing words for you. There you go. All right. Kitlinda M says that Susan Holt is arriving at headquarters to give her speech. That should certainly be interesting. Oh, she is happy. I'm going to show some visuals of this to you, kits and cups. But that is one very, 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 very happy person. She's got a smile as big as the galaxy right now. And of course, at headquarters, there is much joy and jubilation. Like I said, 31 to 16. It's almost doubles the seats. This is very much a repudiation of the type of politics that Blaine Higgs presented, and given that he himself lost his seat, a repudiation of the man himself. This is what we really needed to see. This is what I hoped we would have seen in British Columbia, the pre-BC Conservatives losing by a lot after it was very clear that John Rustad is just not a serious candidate in any way, shape, or form. Sadly, but that did not happen, and it would have really been nice if he had lost his seat as well. But hey, that's all right. There'll be more time for him to implode, hopefully. But this right now at the Holt headquarters is a moment of joy and jubilation. They have put in the work. They've been working very hard for several months. They didn't just start recently. Like I said, she caught our attention last January. She was already putting out some substance, some policy out there and showing that she was a serious candidate and that she was in it to win it. So I'm glad that her hard work has been rewarded. Okay, so we move away from that for a little bit, and the last little bit of things that New Brunswickers could be expecting from the new Liberal government. On the environment, update the Clean Air Act and Clean Water Act to guarantee everyone in New Brunswick has the right to clean air and water. All new schools, hospitals, long-term care homes, and other public buildings will be required to have modern air filtration, heating, and cooling systems following ASHRAE 241. That's ASHRAE 241. I have no idea what that is, kits and cubs, but hopefully people in New Brunswick will be familiar with it. Suitable air filtration and cooling units will be added to existing infrastructure. Provide New Brunswick residents 25% off the cost of provincial park passes to encourage exercise and spending time outdoors. Increase active transportation infrastructure, including walking and cycling trails, to build healthier communities. Increase support for home energy retrofits, free heat pump program, and introduce a provincial program for solar retrofits. Review and update the province's emergency preparedness plan for dealing with the increasing number of extreme climate change related weather events. Implement a coastal erosion plan to protect communities. And finally, investigate alternatives to pesticide and herbicide use and reevaluate the safety of glyphosate with new and comprehensive data specific to New Brunswick. So that's the main elements of the Liberal Party of New Brunswick's policy plank. That's what they ran on, and that's what people in New Brunswick elected the Liberals to do in the province. It's pretty exciting times in New Brunswick, and for us as Canadians, and it certainly is good for the Liberal brand to finally see the Liberals winning at something somewhere, because a lot of people are starting to wonder, is the brand going under? Fortunately, there's still some life in the brand yet. All right, kits and cubs. That is the end of True North Eager Beaver Nights. New Brunswick election results special. We hope that you loved listening to us because we loved making this for you. Sorry for those listening on podcast version. I had to hit the cough button there for a second because I really loved making this for you. Now remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. I see that we have Kit Rita here joining us. Hello. So nice to see you. Thank you for dropping in. Remember, sharing is caring. Word of mouth is priceless. So tell your peeps and poops all about us. And if you would like to make sure that you don't miss an episode of our show, well, you don't have to, thanks to the Ray Girl, because she sponsors our pod page. That QR code that just appeared, if you scan it, will bring you right there. And if you go there and click subscribe, whenever we have something fresh off the mound with, it just comes directly to you. And if you're listening at home, you go to podpage.com/the true North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words, and that will bring you right there. And again, same thing. You click subscribe, and when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. Now, if you would like to support us in other ways, we definitely would appreciate your help. For example, the True North Eager Beaver YouTube page. There we have 3 buttons for you: like, share, and subscribe. If you could do us the favor of surfing on down there and subscribing if you haven't already, that makes us very happy. And then, of course, liking and sharing our work definitely helps us get known. We appreciate all your help in getting the word out. Your word of mouth is definitely invaluable. And, um, you know, there's nothing better than testimonials from people who actually listen to and enjoy the show and get a lot from it. We can't buy that type of marketing. So whenever you do that for us, we are always deeply grateful. Now, if you would like to support us in yet another way, and this would be financially, because there are some costs involved with bringing the show to you 5 days a week and the specials that we do, then right there, that QR code that appeared will bring you to the Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where our friends Guinness and Caesar and coffee and hot chocolate are waiting to us to keep our vocal cords nice and moist. So if you would like to help us in that endeavor and you happen to be weighed down a little bit by some pocket change, we are happy to lighten your load. Please scan that QR code, or if you're listening, go to coffee, that's spelled ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, and there you will find our tip jar and leave us a little bit of an attaboy. Attabeaver, you did good today in there. And that would definitely provoke some warm fuzzies and earn you our gratitude. If you are not able to donate anything, please do not worry, because the gift of your attention and participation is the gift that means the most to us. We cherish it very much. When you interact with us, when you send us story ideas, we love to hear from you. So truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address. Please send us something there. Or if you're on our Twitter feed, leave us a little something at True Eager. Our YouTube page, leave us something right down in the comments. We try to read everything. Or if you happen to be on our original place on the web, our True North Eager Beaver Facebook page, where there are some kits that have been with us well over 10 years now. You go there, leave us a little message. We do try to read everything. We're not always able to respond, but we do indeed try to read everything. And your suggestions, we do take a lot of them and work them into the show, because more eyes doing research is better than just ours. So when you bring stuff our way and make it easier for us to find, we don't have to go hunting for it, it definitely helps a lot. And it saves us some time. So thank you for all that you do. Kits and Cubs as well. Before we leave, we like to do the democracy something do segment. Now, if you live in British Columbia or if you live in New Brunswick, please take a few days off. You've had an old election campaign. You've been busy. You've volunteered. You've door knocked. You've researched your candidates. You've planned your vote. Whatever the result, whether it went in your favor or not, Take some time to pat yourselves on the back for having participated in democracy. Oh my God, we have Mr. Grizzly to help us end up the show. How you doing, my friend?
Well, hello. I'm just prepped to do an ASMR, and I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm going like, history has been made,
Yes.
and history has been made in a very good way. New Brunswick has elected their first female premier in history
Yes.
in a majority, which I, I'm not super in love with majority governments, and you know why,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I think we're on the same page about that, are
Oh,
we not?
there's a little bit ultimate power corrupts ultimately. A little bit.
Yeah. Now we know the premier. We've interviewed her a few times. She's an incredible person, and I hope we can get her on again in the near future to congratulate her. Number one,
Mhm.
but number two, to just say, um, we love you, we respect you, but we will hold your feet to the fire if you step out of line.
Oh yes. Absolutely.
I mean, but this is great for the province of New Brunswick, um, and it's also great for the country.
Yes, it is.
Sends a message, right?
Yes, we have something to smile about. Those
Yeah.
of us who are centrists and a little to the left, we have something to smile about.
And this is what we are. We're centrist. We admit we lean left.
A little center right on certain things, a little center left
Yeah,
on certain things, like this.
it
A
varies
little
from one thing to the next.
way left on certain others.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, well, that's why neither you nor I belong to a political party. I mean, you joined a party for a specific reason,
Yes.
right? And that was a 1 year thing. You joined it so you could make a vote, cast a ballot, and say, "I don't want this guy." But neither one of us belong to a political party because let's face it, I don't think there's a party in this country that would truly satisfy both you and I,
Mhm.
right?
That's correct. Yep.
So what do? We make a decision and we go with the best choices that we have laid out in front of us.
Yep. As they're
And
comparing them to each other and not some ideal.
exactly, because no matter what, nobody is ever going to give us 100% satisfaction. It's
Right.
not possible.
Right.
It's not possible. So anyway, I thought I'd pop in just at the tail end as you're getting ready to sign off because I'm
I
getting ready
am
to start a show in a couple of minutes here.
I am
But I
so
thought I'd
glad you did. What a delightful
well,
surprise.
it was not the best day for me. I did as the day went on, I felt a little bit better, and I had my tens machine on for about 3 hours, which is way longer than they suggest, but it did what it needed to do.
Okay.
And as a result, my back is in much better shape right now than it was this morning. Number
Yes.
one, and number two, I spent this week. I'm on course every day from 12:30 to 4:30 p.m. So that really, I don't know, just getting back into it in a full dive in, full fledged universe. I'm kind of babbling here, but it lifted my soul, which was good. And then earlier this evening, I went out. I went for a long walk, and then took Madame Lola out. Lola, I don't know where she went. She was here a second ago. I took her out for a long walk, and then brought her home. And I'm like, I'm going to go out and get something to eat. And I grabbed a bite to eat, and then I stopped by the pub, and I had a pint of Guinness on the patio because it was 26 degrees
I know. It was gorgeous today.
here in October. It's bizarre. And I had a chat with one of the servers there, who's a good friend, and I won't mention her name, but Bridget and her are quite close and close to the same age, so Bridget should know who that is right away. And she had, mentioned to me, she says, my mental health over the last few weeks has been really suffering, like
Mm.
really taking a shit kicking. And I'm like, I get it. I have been in that same boat as of late. And I find when we have a chance to talk to each other, somebody who understands and goes through the same things I do, that it helps both of us. And she was like, oh my God, it's so much so. She's like, thank you for listening. I'm like, thank you for sharing. It helped me. And I will discuss it in about 5 minutes' time. So
Mhm.
I'm going to jump out. You can
Right.
wind up the show. And anybody who wants to join me on the ASMR, let me just, where's the code there? There, I'll
Yes,
put the
yes.
code up right now.
Do put
There
the
it is.
code up.
If you scan that code, that'll take you right to the ASMR YouTube channel, and I will be there in just a few short minutes. All right.
Do you
I'll
have
see
some
you
words
soon.
of wisdom before we go, Mr. Grizzly? Since I got
Uh,
you.
well, democracy is something you do, and it was done today in New Brunswick. I don't know what the voter turnout was
Uh,
yet.
well over 60%.
That's a good sign.
That's a
We
good
need it to
sign.
get higher.
Yes.
And this thing I keep saying, we need, once the writ is dropped, no more polls. No more polls, because it's a voter control thing. It really is, as evidenced by the last election in the province of Ontario, when newspapers, media, and the polls were all saying Doug was going to win a landslide. People just said, well, my vote doesn't count, and stayed home,
Yeah.
which is why we need to have mandatory voting and no more polls the moment the writ is dropped. I'd like to see normal polls 6 months before, an election cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have
Won't happen, but
64.2% voter turnout.
well, that's good. That's Ontario's was 43%, and we're the most
Right.
populous province in the country. By we're 16 million and change.
Mm-hmm.
New Brunswick isn't a million, and they had a 64% turnout. So Ontario, I'm looking squarely at you in the face and saying, get off your duff and do better next time. All right, I'll see you in a few minutes.
All right. And Kits and Cubs, for those who are wondering as well, it almost was an actual real majority as well, because according to CBC, the vote share for the Liberals is 48.5%, so 1.5% away, 1.6% or 1.51% away from an actual true majority in terms of the votes and not only the seat count. So this is a very, very impressive performance. So as I was saying, because democracy is something that you do, if you're in New Brunswick or in British Columbia, take a few days off. If you're in Saskatchewan, hey, take an example here. 7 days to go before provincial elections there. And we are definitely looking forward to Canadians doing some democracy over there too. All right. Words of wisdom on my part. If you are in New Brunswick and if you've done anything there, if you've done anything with the election, regardless of the results, take some time to celebrate your efforts. All right, we don't do that a lot as well. Always take some time to celebrate your efforts and your achievement. You did the work, regardless of the result. You deserve to pat yourself on the back and treat yourself to something nice. All right, and thank you for all the work that you did. Those of you who got involved to making sure that we can actually have exercise our democratic rights as best as we can with the most information that we can. You provide a great community service. Okay, Kits and Cubs, I am going to leave you. Thank you for joining us. And I guess I have to say it to myself. I have to cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.